Alright, video number 007, James Bond. I am driving right now on my way to Otaki. It's in the middle of the Chiba countryside. It has a really cool classic castle. And then from there I'm going to drive to Katsura. It's a beach town. Let me roll this up. It's a beach town. And I was looking for properties there this past weekend. I found two properties, one in Okitsu, which is a small little beach town, and another one in Katsura. And I've been really interested in saving my money to buy real estate. I want a beach property. And these ones were extremely affordable. And if you've ever seen videos or whatever on YouTube, Instagram, different reels, you know some houses in Japan are super cheap. And these ones are, without exception. The one in Katsura was $9,000 US. And it had just been lowered. Normally it was $12,000. And I was looking at it, considering it, and then they dropped the price to $9,000. And that's actually really cheap. The other one in Okitsu is for $18,000. And it's 5-minute walk to the beach, 5-minute walk to the station, 5-minute walk to grocery store and convenience store. All around just very convenient location. However, the house is very small. The lot is very small. And I have for the intention of turning it into an AirBnB. And so I really like that one, even though it's double the price of the other one. The one that's $9,000 in Katsura, I was telling my friend that it was just in a very eerie area, in my opinion. I just had a feeling when I actually went there to visit it. I found it online. I went there in person because I like to see things in person, especially properties, before I decide to just purchase it. So I go there in person, and it's actually really cool, like how to get there. It's about 20 minutes from Katsura Station, and 20 minutes from like the downtown area where, all the things are happening. And it's kind of back, kind of tucked away, kind of hidden a little bit. And how you get there is very narrow streets. There's one portion where you have to go underneath the train tracks, but the road is just narrow enough for one car to go through at a time. And so there's that. And then right after you go through that very narrow portion, then you go through a type of like little tunnel. And on the other side of the tunnel is some apartments. And they're full. There's quite a bit of cars right there. But before you even get to the apartments, you have to turn, you have to make a sharp right. And it kind of follows the hill, kind of going up a little bit. And then it curves like a sharp turn down to the left. And it keeps going down and down and down. And I was driving on this road, and it's just getting narrower and narrower and narrower. And I was like, I don't think I can move any further. I'm like looking for the house. It's getting narrower and narrower. And it's up like on an elevated road. You look down, it's maybe 4-foot drop on one side going down into like the grassy area where, the actual houses are. And so it looks like it's kind of in like a type of flood zone. Not a flood zone, but if you get a decent storm, the ocean is right there. This place is another place that's just like a 5-minute walk to the beach, Katsura Beach. And so I'm thinking like, man, this place is kind of like, I could easily see this place getting flooded, so Anyways, I'm on this road. It's getting narrower and narrower. I can't go on any further, so I have to like back up quite a ways. And like it's turning into a walking path, like a sidewalk. So I'm backing up, backing up, backing up. Eventually turn into, I think it was somebody else's driveway at their house. There was a van parked there. I was trying to do it really quick, like, so it wouldn't get caught. Because it's kind of rude to do that here in Japan, because space is very limited. So when you're backing up into somebody's driveway, like that's their driveway, obviously. So I back up and I go back up the road, up the hill, and I notice that way is also the emergency evacuation if there's like a natural disaster, evacuation areas straight up that hill. So at least it's in a decent area, has access to an emergency evacuation. So I park my car up there where there's actually space to park, on the side of the road. And then I walk back down. And it's really cool. It's a cool area. And it's like a winding road going down. And I get back to that spot where the road was getting really narrow. It turned into a walking path. And I'm looking on the map. I'm trying to find where this house is. Like, I think I passed it, so I'm like going into this little narrow neighborhood, and it looked like all of these houses were abandoned. It was almost like a ghost town. And it was a little uneasy, you know what I mean? And I was there during the day, and even during the day I was like, something just feels off around here. I don't know what it is. And it seemed like the ending of that scene, the end scene from the movie High and Low, where the guys, like the police are following this guy, this criminal, through like the very dingy parts of town. But takes place in a city, but I'm actually in the countryside when I'm looking at this house. But it seemed like that, just kind of like run down houses, like people might be living in these houses. Anyways, like I turn around and I go back and I find the house, and it's a decent sized house, especially at the time when I went to look at it, it was still listed for $12,000. And I was like, $12,000 for this size house, actually a really good deal. And then, the weeds and everything was like overgrown, kind of like taking over the yard. But it's actually right off that path. So where the road was turning into a walking path and, it dropped down maybe 3 or 4 feet, like that's where the house is. It's down in that lower area. And it doesn't have parking. It doesn't have access for parking. It doesn't have a driveway or anything. It's just a walkway, like that walking path goes to that house. And so I check it out. I'm outside, I'm taking photos of it, stuff like that. And I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like somebody's like looking at you. You know how you have that feeling, you don't know, but it just feels like that? Like that's how it felt, with like the neighbor's house on the right-hand side. So you know what, I'm just gonna get out of here. Like I'm taking photos and stuff, I'm kind of checking it out. Going up to the windows, kind of looking in a little bit. The shutters were closed, so I couldn't see anything. But just like looking at the outside of the house. And so I just kind of turn around and I kind of walk back up the path, and I'm getting photos of what it looks like from far away. And I just hear like this screeching sound in the distance, and it kind of echoes, because it's kind of in like a canyon, not a canyon, but like at the low point, and it's going up into like the hills, and the hills like a bunch of bamboo, kind of forest area. And I just hear this screeching, and I don't know what it is. It almost sounds like when a cat comes across something and it's like trying to be protective. It sounded kind of like that, but a little bit more guttural. So I don't think it was a cat. It was just, I heard it multiple times. And like, I don't like this sound. And I already have this unease being in this area. And so I'm like, all right, I better get out of here. I still have to walk back to my car. And that sound is coming from around where my car is, back up that hill. And I was like, oh my goodness, like hopefully I don't come across anything. Oh, I just saw a car that I've been checking out online. An old Honda S600 convertible, red. I just saw that on the side of the road. Sorry. Squirrel. Anyways, back up the top of the hill is my car, and it's right around that area where I hear this screeching sound multiple times, 3 or 4 times. I need to head back, so I'm walking back up the path. It's kind of a little bit of a steep hill, and as I'm walking by, I'm looking in the fields off to my left, and it's kind of in an area, where there's kind of farms and, gardens and stuff like that too. It looks like it. And I just see like a metal cage, like a metal rectangular cage. And, like the door slides up. And I was like, oh, that, it looks kind of like a trap that you would use for like, I'm assuming for like hogs or wild pigs. I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen any hogs like out in Katsura. I know there's plenty of like baby deer, like small deer, but I've only ever seen wild pigs in the countryside, like in the middle of the countryside, like Mobara, or just in the countryside, more inland. I hadn't seen them closer to the coast, but I'm assuming that's what that trap was for, is for those wild pigs. Like, great, like, and you're not allowed to have guns in Japan, so like, just imagine, coming across, a wild pig, and I can't shoot it because you're not allowed to have guns here. And like, so do I just have to like tangle with like a wild boar? Like, what the hell, So like, so I had this eerie feeling, this loud screeching sound, and then this cage to catch wild boars. I'm like, I don't know if I want this place, right? Because I'm thinking this is gonna be for Airbnb. And if people are staying here to have, get away for the summertime and enjoy the beach, and then hear these screeching sounds in the middle of, and pretty much in the middle of nowhere, or come across a wild animal, like, yeah, I don't think they would enjoy that very much. So I'm like, I don't like that idea. I'm sure somebody else wouldn't like that idea. That would like ruin their vacation. So I'm like, as good of a price as that place was for $9,000, I'm like, I think I'm just going to keep saving my money and look for a better place. And just location-wise, it's just a little bit awkward. And without it having, like, access to parking, like, I don't know. But the house, just by itself, the house is actually pretty cool. It's a larger house. It has a larger lot than the other place that I looked at. I don't know. So it was funny. I didn't find out what that sound was, and I didn't see a wild boar. I was like, you know what? Like, it would be cool, like, if you get that and have an Airbnb with like the theme of kind of like a horror movie or something like that, and just like turn it into kind of like a themed Airbnb of like challenging people if they can stay there, for a night or 2 nights. And then I was thinking just becoming friends with the neighbors and paying them extra money to make weird sounds at night and try to scare the people living there. It's just an idea. But no, I mean, that was cool. Like I said, I enjoy looking at properties and finding properties online and, physically going there to check them out. And that's just one of the things that when I moved to Japan, I really wanted to get into real estate and get rental properties. I wasn't really thinking Airbnb, but I have a few friends that are doing that, and just scaling up from like 1 property to 2 or 3, and then eventually just making it somewhat like a lucrative income, like semi-passive income, depending on it, if you have a property manager or not. So yeah, and I'm checking out places in the countryside, typically along the coast, get like a beach house. So either in the countryside and also looking at places in Tokyo, like proper Tokyo, kind of like a little bit a ways away out of the hustle and bustle, like quieter neighborhoods that are maybe like a 5 to 10 minute train ride to a popular spot. And surprisingly, you can find some cheap properties. I don't want to say cheap, but inexpensive for the location in which they are. Fairly inexpensive. There's a house. This isn't cheap at all. It's not affordable for me right now. But there's a house like right down the street from Tokyo Skytree. It's like a famous tower in Tokyo. It's beautiful, beautiful tower. And that house, 2-story house with a rooftop, so technically 3 stories if you think about it. And that one was going for just over $300,000. And $300,000 compared to America, at least, in Phoenix, I'm from Phoenix. The real estate market in Phoenix is crazy. Like $300,000 for a place in Tokyo next to Skytree is super cheap, comparatively speaking. So I found that place, and I was like, oh, that would be so cool to have that place. Just that area, I really like the area, and there are some cheaper properties there from time to time. They go really fast, so you have to keep an eye out for them. But one of the websites that I use to find these is called Akiya Mart. So AKIYA Mart, MART.com. So if you're interested in Japanese real estate, because it's fairly inexpensive, that's a good website to try out. And if you're overseas and you're not living in Japan, they have their website, they have consultation, you can talk with them and still purchase a property, still being out of country, and figure out a way to have property managers and stuff like that, get it set up for Airbnb, and even have that, and you don't even have to be in the country. So if you're looking for, another investment or properties or whatever, you might want to look into that. Anyways, I don't want to tell you how to spend your money, but that's what I'm doing. And so yeah, for the time being, I'm just going to keep checking that out, keep saving my money, working as much as I can, spending as little as possible, because that is my goal. I have lots of goals. That's one of them. Another one is setting up my English business. As I'm working my job right now, and having been a teacher for 12 years, I get used to doing things my way and running my own classroom and stuff like that. But with this particular job, I don't really have as much freedom as I had in my other jobs teaching in Arizona. So I feel like my hands aren't tied, but kind of. I just don't have as much freedom as I did in my last job, and there's a little bit, whatever. There's micromanaging, and that really bothers me, and I don't like that at all. And it's understandable because the way we have our school, our classes set up, we kind of all have to be on the same page. So I understand, but at the same time, it is a little bit frustrating. So I'm really just wanting to build, like recording videos and stuff of lessons that I would teach, and figuring out how to market my business or market myself to get clients, to do private lessons, to do English pronunciation. And it's on my other YouTube channel. It's called English with Mr. Nick. And I've posted maybe about 6 shorts and 1 normal video that's like 4 or 5 minutes. And it's done pretty well for the past 2 weeks. I just started about 2 weeks ago, and I've had probably around 3,000 views total. And that's really not bad. The very first video that I posted got over 1,000 views, like in a day, like less than 2 days, like a day and a half maybe. And so that was actually really encouraging to continue doing that. And through that, just learning, just how to make YouTube videos. Not really make YouTube videos, but how to post them, certain tags you use or whatever, the titles, or downloading the video from my phone to my computer. That way it has the video file from my computer and then uploading it from my computer. I don't understand why that works, but I've seen a few YouTube videos where they're explaining like that's what you should do. So anyways, all this stuff is really new to me, but how I see it, that channel has, I think, 19 subscribers, 19 or 20 subscribers. And I'm thinking, man, like that's amazing. You know what I mean? Like that's not amazing compared to like other people on YouTube. But for me, that's amazing because you essentially have 20 students. Like how I'm thinking of it, I have 20 students who are subscribed, who are going to be looking at my videos when I post them. And they're going to be learning English. And the whole reason for me starting this in the first place is I love teaching, I'm good at teaching, and I want people to learn as much as they can for as little as possible, for like as little cost as possible. And so with it being on YouTube, I'm able to reach people from all over the world, which I think is amazing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really care about having millions of followers, stuff like it doesn't even cross my mind. The thing is, with those 19 or 20 subscribers, like for me, like I take ownership of that, and I'm like, okay, so like I want to commit to these people who are my subscribers and try to make the best content that I can. Like, how do I say this? My content, the material that I'm talking about, the material that I'm teaching is top notch. Like the way that I teach, and this comes across as arrogant or whatever, but I'm not meaning to have it sound like that. I just know that I'm good at doing this. I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not good at. Definitely good at this. And so I'm just taking ownership of that. Like, these are 19, 20 of my students, and I'm treating it like that, and making the best content material that I can, like, share with them. And so over time, progressively, I'm wanting my video quality to improve. And like I'm using this headset right now. It's wired. It's very old. It's very old school. I actually think these earbuds are 10 years old, at least 10 years old. I know that because I bought them in Japan the last time I lived here. Anyway, so like having like a wireless mic, getting a better, I actually really like recording stuff on the iPhone, but my iPhone is from 2020. It's a 2020 SE, so it's already 5 years old now. So getting a better iPhone, secondhand, really just to use the camera and use it just for videos. And I've seen them at the recycle shops secondhand for about less than $400. And it's so convenient to just shoot it on iPhone and upload it from iPhone, especially if you're making shorts. But like I said earlier, for these long form videos like the one I'm making now, I'm going to put it on my computer and then upload it from my computer. Yeah, don't ask me why it works like that. It just works like that, apparently, from what I've understood from people making YouTube videos who share that on YouTube. Man, what's going on here? I don't know. So yeah, my friend just called me, so it interrupted my video, so I had to start recording again. Yeah, I'm going down these hairpin roads, called hairpin switchbacks, going down into Otaki. Every time I drive this road, it reminds me of Initial D, where they go drifting. It's a really cool Japanese comic book, Initial D. If you're really into cars, drifting, or you like Fast and the Furious, I highly recommend checking it out. So yeah, I'm just making YouTube videos, the English business. Sorry, that just threw me off when I get stuff like that. It's kind of frustrating. Whether it's like the video cutting off because there's not enough room, like not enough storage space, or if I'm getting a call, it just kind of like throws off my rhythm. So yeah. Anyways, I lose my train of thought and kind of like the flow of what I was talking about. But anyways, so yeah, I'm in this town right now. It's a cool little town in the middle of the Chiba countryside. It's really nice out today too. Just between spring and summertime, we're getting into the rainy season of Japan. So tons of flowers are blooming, really nice smells. Last week was super hot. This week is very cool. But it's hot in the sun, but cool like in the breeze. It's just very nice. I just want to go sleep outside and take a nap in the middle of the day. It's so nice. So yeah, real estate, Airbnb, English business, making YouTube videos, learning YouTube. I have a lot on my plate, and I'm doing it to myself, and I feel like I'm spreading myself too thin, and I have a tendency to do this at times. But yeah, with some other stuff. Yeah, so just doing the English business YouTube videos. I still have to figure out how to get payments and stuff, because I want to do Zoom lessons, or like small classroom lessons, like video lessons online. But like, how do I get payment for that? Obviously I can Google it, I'll figure it out. Just off the top of my head, I don't know how it works though. That's just one of the many things on my list of things to get done and things to do. That's cool. There's a Otaki Castle off in the distance, at the top of the hill. I can't show you right now, and even if I move the camera, you wouldn't be able to see it because it's so small. But so yeah, doing that, and eventually I want to do in-person one-on-one lessons with people who already know English but want to like hone or fine-tune their pronunciation skills. Yeah, because I'm really good at that. And I think that would be more so in Tokyo. And that's another thing too. Like, I'm living right now in Chiba City, and I'm really thinking about, between the Chiba countryside or living in Tokyo, I'm leaning more towards trying to find a place in Tokyo. As far as like renting a place, like where I'm gonna live. This is separate from Airbnb, real estate stuff. Unless I can find a place in Tokyo that I can buy, and it has some sort of guest house or something, and I can rent that out and live there. The likelihood of that happening, I think, might be kind of low, so I'm not really betting on that. But so yeah, having the English business and doing that stuff in Tokyo. Yeah. So yeah, and then another thing too, so teaching English, teaching languages, but I'm also learning more Japanese and studying Japanese. There's what's called the Japanese Language Proficiency Test. There's 5 different levels of that. It's kind of testing yourself on your ability, your Japanese ability, and you get a certificate of that, so you can put that on your resume and whatever. It gives you a bit more, you can show to people, you're like, oh, this is my level in Japanese. So the easiest one is N5, which is the one that I'm planning on taking. I wanted to take it this summertime, but I guess you have to sign up for it pretty far in advance, and I didn't realize you had to sign up. I guess the date that it closed to sign up to take the test was back in April. And the test isn't until July, I think, June or July. So it's a few months in advance that they close enrollment. So the next one is going to be December 7th, and I'm assuming they'll close enrollment or sign-ups for that probably sometime in September. So I wrote down a reminder to sign up for that. So I'll be taking that test in December. The N5, I'm pretty sure I can pass. I'm going to keep studying for N5, and if it's too easy, or if studying is really easy, I'll keep moving forward and study for N4 and shoot for taking the N4 test in December. But my Japanese grammar is not very good. The vocabulary and the kanji I'm okay with. Listening I'm okay with. But constructing sentences using grammar, that's my weak point. So I found some Japanese teachers through Instagram. I've been messaging with one of them back and forth. And yeah, she's been like really helpful too, and the other one was too. And they have this thing where you can just send them a message and they'll send you kind of like a form, like a cheat sheet kind of thing. And I noticed one of them, she does like Zoom lessons and stuff, like small group lessons. I think she caps it at like 8 people, which I think is a really good idea. And she has like Patreon, stuff like that. Things that I haven't even thought of. You know, like I thought about having like a classroom like that, digital classroom. But like she's actually doing it, I'm like, oh, that's actually a good idea. I might try to do something like that too. Or a YouTube live stream or something like that. Really just to keep like in communication, just like have like, you know, communication with the subscribers or the people that watch my videos. So yeah, and I noticed some of the content too that I've been making. I didn't realize this at the time, but the content that I'm making is just giving away what I could be selling. Like, oh, if I give this away for free, then what am I going to sell? Because I'm explaining everything in detail. And so I'm on the fence about just keeping it how it is and just allowing people, you know, just making that for people. Because at the end of the day, I want people to learn English, and I want people's English to improve and get better. But obviously, if I'm really good at something and I put a lot of time and effort into creating something, then it only makes sense to get compensated for your time. So charging for that too, like, makes sense. And so I think I might just keep making the content how I've been making it, but then charge for lessons, private lessons or small group lessons, to go more in depth on specifics, shapes to make with your mouth to get the proper sounds for the pronunciation. And so yeah, so I'm still thinking about all that stuff. All this stuff is very new to me. I'm learning so much. I'm studying so many different things, as far as marketing and business, how to scale a business, how to, you know, what is the product you're selling. You know, first, like finding, you know, I heard somebody explain this morning when I'm watching my Instagram reels in the morning sometimes. I watch business ones to kind of like start my day, get motivated, just hear encouraging words in the morning. One of the things that I heard this morning was find what's called a pain point, things that, you know, it's harming somebody else, and find the cure for that. And there's a few other points that I don't remember, but those were like the two ones that kind of stuck out to me. So thinking as far as my business, teaching English pronunciation specifically, is targeting or trying to reach out to people that they believe their English is good, they're very knowledgeable, but for some reason they can't pronounce things properly to where people can understand them clearly. So like that's my target market, you know, I guess. So yeah, it's just gonna take some getting used to, a bit more research on how to find people like that who are wanting these types of services. But then even, you know, using that model of, you know, pain point and the cure, I came across a guy who will just walk around with somebody for the day or for a few hours, and he charges them like $100 an hour or something like that, just to hang out with another person, to be their friend essentially. And he's booked, you know what I mean? Like, people pay this guy for him to just hang out with them. So if people pay this guy just to hang out with them, I'm sure people would pay me to teach them pronunciation and how to perfect their English pronunciation. So it's just, for me, like, learning that, it's so silly, but at the same time, it is fulfilling a need for somebody. So that's an excellent business model, because they wouldn't pay for it if they didn't want it or if they didn't need it. So that guy's a genius. You know, he just hangs out with somebody and they have to pay for his meals, or if they go to movies, whatever. Like, all right, cool, if it works for you. So yeah, learning business stuff for the English business, and also learning more, you know, social skills, practicing social skills, and being more intentional on trying to find groups who have similar ideals, you know, who are self-growth, self-motivated, you know, self-help, self-improvement, all this other stuff. And so I came across one of the guys I found on YouTube started posting videos like every day. This is probably about a month ago now at this point, 3 weeks or a month ago, probably. He's been posting every single day. And he's talking about, you know, going through divorce and stuff like that. And so, you know, I clicked on it, watched it. I'm like, man, this have a lot in common, you know, of like feelings and stuff like that. People who are going through divorce, like, oh, I'm not alone, you know what I mean? And this guy's making videos every day. And like, oh, it's kind of nice to know that I'm not alone. This guy's going through it too. Anyways, like, he created a group on an app called School, Skool. And, you know, so I joined that group, and it's just like a lot of men. I think the title is like how to become like high value man or something like that. And like, yeah, that's something that resonates with me, because I'm all about self-improvement, growing every day, and doing my best to become the best version of myself. You know, as Elliot Hulse used to say on Yo Elliot, you know, I followed that guy, probably started following him about 10 years ago, at least 10 years ago. And that was his big thing, is like become the better, like the best version of yourself or something like that. And it's probably been since that time, starting at that time, that I started going through all of this kind of like self-help stuff. It's probably been about 10 years. But in the past 2 years, really intentional and kind of balls to the wall. Anyways, this group on School, becoming a high value man, like-minded individuals, encouraging each other, showing your wins, stuff like that, sharing your stories. And it's just really encouraging. You know, I was part of a men's group when I was still in Arizona, in Phoenix. It was set up initially through our church, but it wasn't a church group. It was just people from our church who started that group. And it's really just encouraging each other, sharing what's going on throughout your week, things you're struggling with, things that, your wins, your losses kind of thing, So yeah, it's really, I grew a lot from that group too. And just through that group learning, really, I don't know, I never really realized at that time, but as far as like people pleasing, codependent, integrating your shadow, as Carl Jung would talk about, I forget the proper word that he uses. Integration, individuation. Essentially integrating your shadow being those things that about yourself that you feel aren't acceptable, so you kind of push them into the corners, kind of into the dark recesses, but they come out unintentionally, like when you're like losing control, those things kind of come out. So yeah, just learning to love all aspects of yourself and not trying to hide certain aspects of yourself. And I think through just kind of like developed that, like hiding certain portions of yourself or being ashamed of certain portions of yourself, maybe had to do something with, definitely, growing up evangelical churches and stuff like that, Southern Baptist in my case. My mom was raised Catholic, my dad was raised Southern Baptist. And then, so just being around that of really, Christians believe that you believe Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior of your sins, and essentially you're going to heaven when you die if you trust in Jesus. And I believe that. Obviously I believe that. I consider myself a Christian. The thing that I've kind of changed as I've developed over the years is that Jesus loves you for who you are and not who you should be. That comes from Brennan Manning. He's a pastor in the he's been a pastor for a while, but I think he gained fame in like the mid 90s. Like Rich Mullins was another famous Christian artist around that time. I think late 80s, early 90s. I think he passed away in the mid 90s, Rich Mullins. Anyways, Brennan Manning would always say, like, Jesus loves you for who you are, not who you should be. And when I first heard that, I was like, it resonated with me so much because, just kind of like this guilt and shame of like, oh, I'm not the person who I should be. And this, in the back of my mind, I would have never said this out loud, but in the back of my mind is like, oh, God doesn't love you unless you're doing the right thing. And that's not true at all. But it's kind of what I learned through interacting with people at church. I don't think they would ever say that. They would never say that, but that's how they behaved. Or at least that's how I understood it from, being young and understanding that for the first time, is behavior modification. If you can change your behavior, then God will love you. If you don't change your behavior, then God's going to curse you. You're going to burn in hell for eternity. So yeah, like through all of that, I don't even know. I went off on a tangent, and I don't know where I came from. I don't know how I can start talking about this. Anyways, like this stuff is like essential. Oh, that's what it was. Being like codependent and, trying to hide myself. So individuation, integrating the shadow. So yeah, just like you personally loving all aspects of yourself and just owning it. Like there's a lot of things that I even hesitate to share, like things that I enjoy, things that I like. When I was a kid, I remember when The Lion King came out, and I was just like, I got a t-shirt and it had Simba and it had Nala, and I was like, this is a cool shirt, I really like this. And then I immediately thought, if I wear this to school, I'm going to get made fun of. And so I didn't wear it. But at the same time, I was like, I still like that shirt. So it's things like that where, like, that's kind of a funny example. But I think below the surface, like, it is kind of serious though too. Like, what other aspects where it's like you're afraid to be yourself, or you're afraid to own the things that you like because somebody might make fun of you, or you might not fit in, you know? And as much as people say, like, I don't care what other people think, like, I disagree. You know, I think you're faking it. Because everybody has something. Like, everybody has something, you know? Unless they've actually worked through the process and they're owning it, like, that's different. But usually if somebody who's, like, very gung-ho and saying, like, I don't care what people think of me, those people usually are hiding something, and they're kind of, like, overcompensating, in my opinion. I could be 100% false about this, but it's my observation, so, and it's my video. If you have a different observation, make your own video. Anyways, this is my take on it. So yeah, I've been practicing that, right? And it could be like clothing, colors, stuff like that, where it's like, especially being in Japan, well, even in America, I'm kind of a weird person as far as like the things that I like. I'm not really conventional. I don't know, I have a turquoise corduroy jacket that I wear quite a bit because I love corduroy and I love turquoise. But it's like, I don't ever see anybody wearing like colors like that. It's like everybody's wearing gray or beige or different shades of black, or it's like different shades. People don't really wear colors very much these days, and I think that's very boring. Like, it's so boring. Just like wear some colors, like put some color in your life. No wonder you're so bland, or you know, you're so bored with everything. I don't know. Variety is the spice of life, right? So if you're only wearing black and gray or white, like, all right, get some colors on you. Anyways, I don't mean to be judgmental. I'm just talking about myself. I like colors. I like wearing clothing that has colors. And it makes things more enjoyable. Anyway, so I'm just, trying to own aspects of myself and practicing not being ashamed of the things that I like, and also not being ashamed of the things that I don't like. Just being myself, and the nice thing of just being yourself and trying to break out of people pleasing is that if somebody doesn't like you, then that gives you information of like, oh, cool, like this person doesn't like me. Now I can move on and I can find people that like me for me, because I'm just being my authentic self, rather than in the past just trying to cater to everybody and trying to have everybody like me. And I still deal with that from time to time. I still deal with that from time to time. Because I like it when people like me. But it's really bad though, because you're manipulating people in a sense. You're lying to yourself and you're manipulating people, so it's just not very good all around. You should be true to yourself. Be your genuine self, and you'll attract people who like you for you, and then you'll have legitimate friends. You'll have legitimate people who actually care about you. And you'll like yourself too. So, you do you. Anyways, I'm almost to the coast. Probably in about 10 minutes or so. I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, because that other video cut off. I think it was right around half hour, and this is at 25 minutes right now. Taking kind of the back roads to get to Okitsu. It's a really fun drive. I love driving down here. I've been getting excited too, looking at different cars to buy online, but I have to remind myself, like, I'm really saving my money to buy a property. So, but those Honda S2000s are really cool, and they're 2-seater roadsters, rear-wheel drive. I always joked when I was in high school, this was back in 2003, 2004, this senior year. Like, I always said the S2000 would be my old man car, because in Phoenix, where I lived was in Peoria, next to Sun City. Sun City's a retirement community. You always see these old guys driving around their Corvettes. So I'm like, you know what, like, the S2000 is going to be my old man car. When I get old, I'm not going to buy a Corvette, I'm just going to buy an S2000. My brother's friend at the time was working at Honda as a lot attendant. He would go wash cars, drive around, stuff like that. And it was my friend's older brother. So we were hanging out. We had like a half day at school one day. And we're hanging out at my friend's house. And his brother comes home from work for a little bit. And he pulls up in the brand new Honda S2000. And kind of like not sky blue, almost like a slate, almost like a grayish blue. Really cool color. And he's like, you want to go for a ride? I'm like, hell yeah, I want to go for a ride. Like, this car is sick. You know, 2-seater Honda. I've never seen anything like that before. The Hondas, because I'm a huge Honda fan. I had a Honda Civic at that time. And we go for a drive, and the whole time, you know, he's pretty much flooring it the whole time, even in the residential area, in the neighborhood. And, you know, it's just holding you back in your seat. I love this car. I love it. It's 6-speed, manual transmission. It's such a badass car. I love that car. Anyways, I saw one exactly like that. I'm driving to work. Every single morning, I'm driving the same way. I see the same cars. Depending on what time I leave, you see the same cars every day if you leave at the same exact time. So a few days in a row, maybe a week in a row, I'm seeing this light blue S2000 pass me on the other side, you know? And typically S2000s are like soft top convertible. But this one has like the hard, it's a convertible, but it has like the hard shell, you know, so it's the same color as the car. I'm like, that's pretty badass. And so I'm like, it kind of like rekindled my love for S2000s. To be honest, I kind of like forgot about them for a little bit because I've been so focused on like, you know, other cars like the Silvias or Skyline, stuff like that, because we don't get those in America, at least the older ones. But I was like, you know what, like, I really love S2000s, and I always said that would be my old man car, but why not my right now car? And so I kind of have that as like incentive to, like, you know, like businesses do well, or like the properties and stuff do well, and kind of like the first gift that I buy myself is gonna be an S2000. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I saw one online. This one's so cool. It looks so good. I didn't even know you could get in this color scheme. It's white, and it has like a dark red, like, convertible top. Like that, those colors are so badass together. It's almost like a burgundy, but it almost looks like mesh, like black interlaced with a red, and so it appears to be like dark red. It's really cool. It's really cool. And the body kit on that 6-speed manual transmission, yeah, it's really cool. So, but anyways, I have to stay focused on saving money for these properties. Like that's my goal first and foremost. You know, financial goals. And also, you know, still investing in the stock market and stuff with US dollars. Which that's a whole another 30 minutes I could talk about, you know, Tesla and Marathon Digital. Yeah. Anyways, Stocks are doing well. And that's another thing too, I realized, like, I can, if I want to buy properties here, possibly getting a loan, like taking out a loan against my stocks. I have roughly, I don't know, I don't want to say right now. Anyways, that would be helpful to get money for properties here, because I can't qualify for a housing loan because I don't have residency here, like permanent residency. You have to be here, I think it's at least 10 years before you can get your residency. And so, let's see. This video is still going. I want to go out here for a second and show you this beach. I just got to the beach. Oh, there's a little cat right here. I'm going to back up some more. And so, yeah. That would be really helpful to get properties and stuff, to take out loans against my stocks. And I could actually probably get it sooner rather than later. I'm going to take this off. There we go. I'm going to run out here really quick. You can still see the ocean. So here it is. It's a little walkway in the beach right there. Let's see. I can't really flip the camera around right now. Oh no, the cat just ran away. Yeah, so here it is. Okitsu. There's my old friend. It's beautiful out here. I'll try to make another video once I end this one. But yeah, it's so beautiful out here. Just the sound of the ocean and my friend's house. I'm picking up stuff. But if you follow this road back here and straight, the house is right back there. He has a main house and a guest house in the back. I've been helping him renovate that. And it's been really cool because, you know, tearing it out, getting to the bones of the house and figuring out how to lay new flooring and really just getting into how old Japanese houses are made. And now I have the know-how. So, all right, I think I'm going to end this video. And yeah, thanks for watching. And yeah, thanks. See you later.